Hi, everybody. It is Tuesday, May 8th. Welcome. We have a few people on the call, and we've got Susan Ross as a guest. And we're going to just jump right into intros. I'm Eve Marion. I'm the president of the E-Club of District 7710. Rhonda, do you want to take it?
Sure. Thank you, Eve. Good evening, everyone. I am filling in for Kathy as she's unable to make it as, oops, hello. Okay. So these are your club updates. We have, oops, sorry. We have, so we had a farewell, or there was, I should say, Area 7 Grant Committee had a farewell dinner at the, what is it, Vandana's architect space. She was hosting a dinner for Peace Fellows. So the Peace Fellows graduation for many of them is this weekend, and about 10 of them were present for this dinner. It was a really nice dinner, and I believe Eve is posting the pictures out there. It was an opportunity to get to know them personally and understand where they came from and understand what they're going to do. Several of them are actually going to be in the area. Some of them have changed from just basics of working with various NGOs to now doing water for Orange County. So it's very interesting. Many of them are actually looking at climate change, which was very interesting. One was a teacher and just said that, his global studies at Duke and UNC, many of you may already know that our Peace Fellows is a combination of the two schools. So their work actually exposed them a lot to climate change, and they found that they had great interest in that area. So people were from Pakistan, as well as Uganda, as well as Brazil, and various folks. So it was really good. Was able to meet, actually, the person from Brazil is a police officer who is going to she's been promoted while she's been in school. She'll be a police chief, and we were able to introduce her to our Durham police chief, Davis. So looking forward to hearing more about how that goes. So good things with Rotary. But we don't have a meeting next week. Please join us for our third Thursday happy hour and chat with Forester Tim Foyley on the May 17th at the Ponysaurus Brewery from 5:30 to 6:30. Ponysaurus is located at 219 Hood Street in Durham, North Carolina. This district meeting will be held next weekend on Saturday, May 19th at 8 a.m. at the Greenwood Forest Baptist Church, 110 Southeast Maynard Road in Cary, North Carolina. I want to encourage you all to go. This is another opportunity for engagement, those that are local, but also opportunity for training to learn new things about Rotary, what's going on and what other clubs are doing. So again, that's Saturday, May 19th. I will have a presidential induction. It's an installation dinner. Will be held at PNC Arena on June 20th, and all are welcomed. I'd love to have you there. The details have not been sent yet, other than the date, the 20th, and the location at PNC. So we'll provide more details soon. Please mark your calendars to join us on June 21st for the year-end celebration and ice cream social at the Parlor, downtown Durham, 117 Market Street. Additional details will follow in the weekly announcements. And this will be our last official gathering of the 2017-2018 Rotary year, as President Eve and President-elect Rhonda will be in Toronto, so that's me and Eve, and MG will also be attending our annual Rotary Conference. And the good news that we are actually going to be representing our Rotary E-Club with 5 other Rotary E-Clubs during a breakout session of the conference. So this is really exciting. Thank you, Eve.
Thank you. You hear me?
Yeah.
We just lose Rich? Oh, no. Okay. Rich, would you, I know we were talking a bit today. Do you feel like giving us a brief update on the foundation? Any thoughts?
Sure. Not a lot of thoughts, but I guess it's a good time to mention this since fundraising is the topic Susan's going to talk about this evening. What I was able to gather was all from Jan, bless her heart. She got all the information for me, gave me, cut and pasted all kinds of instructions about where to get this stuff, gave me screenshots, et cetera, et cetera. And it boiled down to the information that Dallas Stallings, who's the Area 7 chair for the foundation, asked us for. The information that we got is not bad, but I guess there's always room for improvement. When does the 2017-18 fiscal year end? Is it the end of June, guys?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we still have time to push ahead. We have a month and a half to a little bit more stashed away here for our records. What we have right now is the amount of gifts for the annual fund this year so far, $1,385, so $1,385. We don't have a goal per se for the annual fund that I'm aware of. At least I didn't see one in the materials. This is based on 15 members. That's what we declared. I don't know what we have actually now officially. I guess that's still in flux a little bit. But if you look at the other clubs that have numbers like ours, we're pretty average. We're a little bit better than some and maybe a little bit worse than others. But 15 is not a lot, obviously, of members. So that's the annual fund. And then the Polio Plus is the other one, obviously, that gets a lot of press from the Rotary International and the district clubs. So far, we've gathered for that $200, and that's only about 47% of the goal that we set, or was set for us. Perhaps it was $425 goal. We still have time, and now here's the place that we, I suppose, could focus on a little bit. So far, only 6 members have donated for this year to either or both funds. So I guess the message that everybody repeats, and it bears repeating right now, is even if it's a $5 contribution, it looks better if we have 100% participation in giving for the year. So if anybody's listening to this, aside from those who are in the call right now, if anybody's listening to the film later on, or I should say the online film that's being made right now, please do think about getting online and making whatever contribution you can. As long as we get the numbers up, it's not the important thing, but it is one thing that we can do without dipping too far into people's wallets or purses. So that's basically it. I think I'll mention this. This is the last meeting, though, the last official meeting you said, huh?
No. We've got 2 more coming up.
Where did I? Oh, okay, I got it wrong. So I'll mention it again next time. Maybe it'll be a different group of folks who will be online next time.
That'd be great.
That's
Thank
it.
you, Rich. I appreciate your updating. Our polio, I'm getting an echo from them.
I think I did it. I'm trying to figure out how to get.
I can mute you guys for a sec. So we did have a member email me today and say that they had donated $100 to Polio Plus, so our numbers are going to go up. And we also have been, and we might not get credit for it, but I've been plugging Polio Plus with Manjeet's lovely donation of her books and asking people to make a donation. So whether it's attributed to our club or not, we're still pushing that. So yeah, I would encourage everyone just to go in and make a donation, just as Rich said. There's no I mean, there's no minimum. It does look a lot better for all of us in our club if everyone at least makes an attempt to make a donation. It's really easy. And you could set up a recurring donation for a couple dollars a month and you'll never miss it for the cost of a cup of coffee. So yeah, and if you have questions, both Rhonda and I and Jeanne and Rich too, we can help you set that up if you're interested. So yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Rich, for that update. All right, and then I'm going to finish up, Rhonda, because I think did you say that we
I
had?
said I can say it, or you.
Yeah.
I realized I didn't scroll down.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead?
Sure, that's fine. Sorry about that. Part two, no. For upcoming meetings, May 15th, there's no meeting third Tuesday. May 22nd is Oliver Joyner, Durham Housing Authority. And May 29th is Micah Tweetmeyer from Riverside High School, Teacher of the Year. So does anyone else have any announcements? Okay. I think, Richard, what you had heard me say was that our June 21st was our last one.
Yeah, I definitely heard something wrong.
No worries. Okay, thanks, Eve. You can.
Yeah, we have the two more meetings in May and then a couple more meetings in June, and then that's the end of the Rotary year. So it's really coming up quickly, everybody. So I hope everybody can get online and watch the programs and participate in the next few meetings to round out the year. I know summer gets pretty quiet. And it seemed like long weekend transportation and travel was getting hairy on Friday. So I feel like people are already starting to take their long summer weekends. But thank you. And I am going to transition now to our regular program. And thank you everyone for your patience.
Eve,
Yes?
I think I've lost the video. Are y'all seeing me now?
No.
Anybody can talk me through how to get I pushed, when I saw Osborne was on, I pushed it and I've screwed up. Does anybody know how to, should I go out and back in again? Or does anybody know what to tell me to push to get the video back
Take the
on?
paper off your screen, Susan.
I know. That's why I was low tech. I understood the paper.
So if you put your cursor down to the bottom of your frame, there should be a dialog box that comes up with your mute and your video, and you must have.
Okay, there I am.
Oh, there you are. Yay. Okay, good. So you're here for your introduction. So.
And also press Alt V. You just get your video back.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's a good tip. Thanks, Osborne. So welcome again, everyone, to the meeting of the E-Club of District 7710 for Tuesday, May 8th. And I am so pleased to welcome our very own Assistant District Governor, Susan Ross, this evening. Susan Ross is a co-founder and partner and launched Moss and Ross in 2009 following a successful 3-decade fundraising career with Duke, where she led teams responsible for well over $500 million for endowment, facilities, athletics, and annual giving. She and her partner, Mary Moss, past president of the Raleigh Rotary Club, have worked with more than 150 nonprofits in the Triangle, including significant work at both Duke and UNC. She is currently working with campaigns at Carolina, Durham Tech, and the North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics, the Emily Krzyzewski Center, and the Bethel Synagogue. Susan has always played significant roles in her community and church and has a special passion for Rotary. She's past president of the Durham Club and now serves as assistant governor for District 7710. A native of Durham, Susan and her husband, Duke fundraiser Tom Hadzor, have 6 children, ages 28 to 38, and 2 grandchildren. Susan is here this evening to impart fundraising wisdom, a topic and activity that she clearly enjoys. And so I'll just ask everyone to mute, and Susan, you can take it away. Just tell me when you want me to switch slides.
All right, thank you, Eve. Well, I want to start with my assistant governor hat on and say it's a pleasure to be with you. I have enjoyed the times I've been with you all in person this year and online, and I will be the assistant governor for another year, so Rhonda and I will work together as well. And I look forward to being in Toronto with Eve and Rhonda and some other folks from our district. It's my pleasure to start by recognizing the 3 members, only one of whom's on here tonight, who earned the District Maker pin. There's the District Maker pin. So pretend like I'm pinning this on you, Eve.
Thank
Eve Marion, Kathy Roadcup, and Jean Perry all earned the the Difference Maker pin from District Governor Shafi, and we will pass these along and let you all have them over ice cream or something like that. Maybe I'll be with you for ice cream that night.
Thank you.
But anyway, I also want to congratulate your club on earning the club citation from the district, and that was presented to Eve at the All Clubs Conference, and that is, you've got to check off certain boxes, and they show that you covered the gamut of what Rotary is asking its clubs to do. So good job on that as well. Eve asked me to start by telling you a little bit of my Rotary story. So you heard my professional story, and you probably wondered if I really birthed 6 babies, which I did not, but I married 4 of them and gave birth to the other 2. And I have enjoyed mothering them all for the last 21 years, and my kids for 28 and 31 years. But it's, I would say that my 28-year-old daughter, the youngest, is actually about to join the Washington, D.C. Rotary Club. So I'm happy to have a next generation Rotarian. My Rotary Club starts with my maternal grandfather, who was president of the Greenwood, South Carolina Rotary Club in the 30s, I think. He would have joined it in the 20s probably. And I need to find out what year. My dad was a Rotarian in Durham, North Carolina, and was president and also district governor. The year that women were eligible for Rotary, which was 1989, I joined Rotary. I was the first pregnant Rotary Club member in Durham, and there were 3 women before me that year, but a group of us joined in the same year. And over time, my mother, who was a very, very active Rotary spouse, ended up becoming an honorary member of the Durham Rotary Club a couple of years after I joined, and so she and I shared Rotary for all these years. I was a Paul Harris Fellow in 1992. I told my own club this story the other day that I didn't have $1,000 then, but my parents wanted to do something for me, and I said, this would be really nice. I'd really like to be a Paul Harris Fellow. So for a Christmas present one year, they made me a Paul Harris Fellow. So keep that in mind if the budget is better in some other generations than in yours. I was president of the club in 2006. I played some roles in the district. I was helped to get 2 Interact chapters started at Riverside and Hillside, which was my alma mater. I enjoyed being back at Hillside, helping that club get started. Then I was the district chair for Interact, and I did some jobs like district fundraising chair of the bequests and things like that, which just people who are fundraisers by profession take their turns with those kind of jobs in whatever our nonprofits are. But this is, I was president in 2006 and assistant governor for last year. So it's been a fun run, and I've enjoyed it. I've been to international conventions in Atlanta last year and in Copenhagen the year I was president, and I went with my parents to Lausanne, Switzerland when I was a teenager. So this will be my 4th Rotary convention. So I enjoy Rotary, and I'm happy that my daughter is looking into it because I find it a great way to make a bigger difference than you could on your own, working together with leadership people in the community who know how to get things done, who take time to get knowledgeable about what it is they want to work on, are generous supporters of the causes they care about, and make things happen, make change happen. And that means a lot to me. Rotary's changed a lot over these years, and much younger, much more female, much more diverse, and international, has always been very international, but now the international membership comes to us as well, and we get this opportunity with the Peace Fellows to play a great role. So I love that. So when I volunteered to talk about fundraising, you all probably thought I was going to talk about Rotary fundraising, which I'm really not. All of these lessons apply to Rotary too, and I'll try to go back and forth a little bit. But really, I'm going to give you the kind of talk I would do if you were paying Moss and Ross to come teach your volunteers how to be good fundraisers, or your board members, or your staff, because nonprofits don't exist without good fundraising. And I do like it. That's why I gave it the title here. Eve, you can go forward one here. The fundraising is just teaching somebody to enjoy the joy of giving, the gentle art of teaching the joy of giving. I like that. I have never felt like I was picking anybody's pocket. I tried to be sure that the cause was what they were being asked to support, not me, and that if the cause didn't get the response, then it wasn't the right person or the right cause. It was not up to me to pressure somebody into anything. But the people who gave money to me over all those years at Duke When I retired, I had dozens and dozens and dozens of people thanking me for reconnecting them with their alma mater the way we did, or getting them involved with women's studies or scholarships or the college or something that mattered to them. So I think in a connector is what a good fundraiser really is. You can do the next one. Nonprofits cannot do their mission without money. You have to fundraise if you are a nonprofit. And you can be strategic about earned income as well, but you probably, without some money coming in from either nonprofit fundraising or from grants or from earned income, there's no mission to be had. So that's the bottom line. So you need to learn what it means. Next slide. I tried to find an updated slide. The numbers haven't changed much, but this actually is old numbers, 2010. But in general, it's true every year. Who gives money in the United States? Everyone thinks that, you need to get a corporation to give you money, sponsorships, foundations, that sort of thing. It's really individuals who give the charitable money in the United States. 75% of the money that comes in every year in, year out, it might change by 1%, is coming from individuals. Bequests, which are actually individuals also, is another 8%. That leaves a relatively small number, 20 to 24%, that's coming from foundations, who of course have a mandate to give away at least 5% of their holdings every year, and corporations, which have no mandate and don't have to give anything if they don't want to. And the way corporations give is totally different now than it used to be. But that's a real small slice of the pie, 4%. So if you're trying to raise money for something, you need to think about people as your source. Next slide. Fundraising is a process of getting identifying who might be interested in your cause, informing them of what your cause is doing, finding out if they're interested, and if they are, getting them involved. Only when they get involved will they really invest in what you want them to help you with. Next slide. So you start by finding out who might be interested. You all know the concept of elevator speeches. If you're working on a nonprofit, whether it's Rotary, Polio Plus, or the Urban Ministries of Durham, or your alma mater, or your church, or your children's school, or anything you're working on, you need to be able to answer in a minute or two who you are, what you do, and where the money's coming from. And be sure that the mission that you're after, it comes through loud and clear. And also the fact that you're actually competent to achieve that mission. Just someone who has a random idea that they would like to stop global warming but hasn't got a plan for how to make it happen is not going to be able to raise money. You have to show competence as well as a captivating story. You want to focus on the listener's perspective. So, we always used to start this elevator speech thing by saying you got on an elevator and Oprah was there and you had just the 10 floors to tell her what you're doing and why she should take a proposal from you. But why would Oprah care about whatever cause it is? If you were talking about Rotary to her, you would lead with the education, the global of touch. You know that she's interested in children in far-flung parts of the earth. I think I would tell stories about what Rotary is doing with schools. We heard some wonderful storytelling at the All Clubs conference last week about how with the sanitation not available, the teacher couldn't come to school 2 or 3 days a month, and therefore the entire school shut down for 2 or 3 days a month. And the Rotary put money into sanitation, which enabled not only all the girls, students to come to school, but the teacher to open the school, a little one-room schoolhouse. That's quite a story. And to say my club partnered with 3 other clubs and had a global grant from the Rotary Foundation, this is the kind of thing we make happen in the world. It's a good story, focuses on the listener's perspective, and you want to offer an opportunity to learn more. Why don't you come to my Rotary Club? Why don't you tune in with us next week? Why don't you come meet us for ice cream? You'll meet some of the other people who are engaged and involved with us. Next slide. When you're making a case, whether it's in person or in writing, you've got to do a little emotion and logic. I'm hoping some of you on here are old enough to remember these characters from Star Trek, which she was the wife of he was all logic, she was all emotion. She brought out the best in him. And it was, maybe she was just a girlfriend, I can't remember. But Mr. Spock had no emotion. Actually, that's his mother, isn't it? That's who it is. It's his mother. She had to bring out the emotional side. He was all logic from his father's genes, and you have to appeal to the heart and reassure the head. In a couple, you might have both, and it's not always male, female that are the logic and the emotion. when I was responsible for the financial aid campaign at Duke, and we would talk to people about why students needed financial aid to come to Duke. Half of our students did. And the first time we went out with some statistics, we had great statistics. They showed exactly what the need was and how many kids were there and all that. And it was falling flat. And we realized that we didn't have the stories there. You had to take the students out. We got a group of students involved. They went with me on the calls. They told their own stories. Then I could pull the facts out. Then you can make the best appeal. It's got to be more than numbers and pie charts. Next slide. So if you want someone to give, they've got to get involved. In this, we've done a lot of fundraising with Ronald McDonald houses and things like that. If people come out and serve the families at Ronald McDonald, they are much more likely to be donors there. Next slide. So there are kind of three types of fundraising that you want to just a primer 101. Annual funds are what your schools, your churches, and all your nonprofits do every year. It's usually involving operating funds. Rotary's is the same way. It's the annual, year in, year out. You should be able to give the kind of money that most annual funds are asking for without giving it a great deal of conversation with your stockbroker. You know, they want $100, $50, $25, $10. You might sign up to give $10 a month, but it's not the biggest gift of your life. However, it is hopefully the starter gift that starts a little seedling growing, and it hopefully is something that you'll be committed to doing year in, year out, even when there's a secondary ask. So you go to the next slide, which would be a kind of major gift. So if Rotary says, will you be a Paul Harris Fellow? That's a major gift. And everybody knows that you stop and think about $1,000 or even $100 a year for 10 years. You're stopping to think about it. Everybody's got a different definition of what a major gift is. And when you're doing fundraising as a volunteer or a staff person, you need to realize that your definition is maybe not your donor's definition. So you don't want to say, well, I know this is a huge amount of money for you. If you're talking to somebody for whom $1,000 is not a huge amount of money, go ahead and ask them for $1,000 and see what their answer is if you have reason to think that's the right number. Reason to think because you've seen them listed in 4 other programs or annual reports at the $1,000 level. So you know they give $1,000 to several charities in town. Why shouldn't Rotary be one of the ones? For me, I might give $20 to any friend of my children's who comes and asks me to do anything for them. I bought their Cutco knives. I did whatever they wanted. $20, $25. I'll do that for people. I don't give $100 without thinking about it. That's a more serious gift. And I certainly don't give $500 or $1,000 without thinking a lot about it. So whatever the numbers are for who you're talking about, that's a major gift. And it's different for every charity. Next slide. Once in a while, a capital campaign comes along, and that is a bigger deal. And there you are saying, go home, think about this. If it's a church, go home and pray about this. If it's your alma mater, go home and remember what UNC meant to you. What was it? This is a picture of School of Science and Math and a building they'd like to put into the middle of their campus there. We're going to be talking to the alumni and parents of School of Science and Math, and we'll need to explain this building, what it's needed. And the campaign is likely to be, tens of millions of dollars. So you need some big gifts, which I'll talk about later. But a capital campaign, you might sell or give some stock that your grandfather left you or something like that in order to make a bigger gift. That would be a really important, impactful gift that happens once every 8 or 10 years, not every year. Next slide. And then the last part of giving is planned gifts. Rotary has great opportunities for planned gifts. It's the easiest way to do something that you want to do because it's going to be hopefully a long time before it happens. But we have all realized in Rotary that when the 55-year member dies and he didn't have Rotary in his will because nobody ever asked him if he had Rotary in his will, somebody made a mistake. So you need to go ahead and ask people at young stages or middle stages or older stages, if you're writing your will, think about Rotary. And maybe if you haven't ever been able to give the $1,000, you become a Paul Harris Fellow posthumously by putting $1,000 in your will for Rotary. So that when the time is right, when you're doing your will, and you can say, my kid's education comes first, but then I'd like Rotary to benefit. Think about that, but that's a planned gift. Next step. So the top reason people don't give is nobody asked. Just like my person I was telling you about that could have been a Rotarian forever and never put us in her will. If no one brings it up, you don't ask. She mentioned that I'm working with Durham Tech right now. People love Durham Tech. If you ask the Durham people, do they like Durham Tech? Yeah, they like Durham Tech. How many of them are giving money to Durham Tech? Almost nobody. Nobody. Alumni are not particularly being asked. Parents are not particularly being asked. It's a corporation only thing. But if you could change that, tilt that, and sort of say, well, let's talk about Durham Tech. Maybe some people will give. So if you're not asking, they're not going to go seek you out and find you. And that's true for Rotary as well. Next slide. Yeah, I never think no is really a problem when I hear no. I've been told no a lot of times. I'm not asking for Susan Ross. I'm asking for a cause I believe in. And so therefore, I'm always going to peel apart the no that I got. Was it no? Is it not now? Not that particular idea? No, Susan, you're really not the right person to ask me this. I'd rather talk to the president about it. Or no way, Jose. And it really, if there's lots of things that people can say no that don't really mean never. So I always listen to see if it meant never before I go away completely. And I ask them, what would it take to turn this no into a yes? If I win the lottery, I'd give it to you. Yeah, that's wonderful. That means they're really inclined to support you. So not only do you want to wait till they win the lottery, but you want to keep them on the mailing list because they actually like you. So think about what a no means before you get discouraged in fundraising. Next slide. Anytime you're putting together a campaign kind of fundraising, you're going to have a few people at the very top of this pyramid, the top gifts, that are going to make or break the campaign. And I'll explain that a little bit in a few minutes. It's not very many people. It's a handful of people. And if they're there, you can make your goal. Next is what we would consider major gifts. Like I said, that's different for different fundraising. Sometimes it's 1,000. Sometimes it's 10,000. Sometimes it's 100,000. For universities, it's 50,000. For churches, it's 2,000. For small nonprofits, it might be $250. That would be major gifts. And you pay attention to major gifts and top gifts with special interest, because if you don't pay attention to them, those gifts will go away. Annual gifts is all the rest of us who like the cause, like to support it. And underneath that is memberships and event kind of fundraising. People will come out for a good cause. They'll buy a ticket. They'll maybe buy a membership. Maybe they love to go to the Museum of Life and Science with their children. Memberships are entryways into annual support. So you look at your members as good prospects for annual gifts. Look at your annual gift donors as good prospects for major gifts. And all of these people grow out. Because you have to take care of donors at every step of this pyramid, or they won't be there for you. Next slide. So let's just look at what it might look like to divide up a campaign. If you're planning a campaign, let's say you needed $6 million, you're going to need at least one donor who's going to give you $1 million, or you're not going to get there. It just doesn't really work to say, oh, I'm going to get 100 donors to give $6,000 each, and I'll be there. Or maybe it's 1,000 donors to give $6,000. It's not going to work out. You have to assume that a lot of the money is going to come from the top donors. So if you look at this one, you've got 7 donors who are going to give 1.75. About a third of the money is going to come from 7 donors. And then the next 10 are going to give another $1 million. So you're talking $4 million there. 2/3 of the money's coming from 17 donors. And that is really about the way it usually works out. It's just these numbers might change. If it's, UNC, they're trying to get 10 million and 20 million and $50 million gifts at the top of the pyramid. But a smaller campaign would be looking for 500,000 and $1 million gifts. In order to figure out how much money you can actually raise, you would probably hire somebody like Moss and Ross to go do a feasibility study for you, because it's a combination of what you need and what you can realistically raise. And if the top donor that you think might give you $2 million tells us confidentially they're only going to give $25,000, whoa, you got a problem. You need to go back and rethink this campaign, because it is not going to work. You're always going to have some good surprises. Fundraisers talk about gifts coming in over the transom. It does happen. They do. And especially in schools, the child that hasn't even started kindergarten yet may be the best donor by the time that parent's in third grade and it's in a fourth year of a capital campaign. You don't know. And certainly with universities, students have not been accepted for next year's class, and their parents will be asked for gifts before Duke or Carolina finish out a campaign, or Durham Tech. But anyway, if you're looking at it, you're going to put about half of the money at the very top, another half in the middle, and then there's going to be a lot of donors at the smaller levels, not small, but under 10,000, but it doesn't add up as fast as you wish it would. You can never divide it evenly and say, this is how we're going to raise this money. It won't work, so don't try. Next slide. Keys to successful fundraising. I'm not going to talk about this at much length, but you need to identify who might care, and especially find somebody with some money that might care. A corporation, a foundation, or an individual, someone who cares, somebody who's connected in, somebody who has a reason to be connected if they're not connected now. Then you want to do your homework on them. Like I said, if you are wanting to talk to, let's see, who should we pick in Durham? Let's pick David Beischer, because he has a small foundation in Durham. He's a wonderful guy. It's not hard to Google that Fox Foundation and find out where they showed up in people's giving lists. They were thanked for being leadership donors for this campaign, this campaign, this campaign, and you can see what they did. You can also go to for a foundation, you can go to a 1099, which is a 990, a 990 form, which is filed every year, required to be filed by the IRS, and it will tell you who their largest gifts were for several years in a row. So if you look it up, and the biggest gifts this foundation ever gives are $20,000, then don't go in and ask them for $1 million. It's not going to work out. They don't give that much money. But go in and ask for what looks like the right amount for you. So do your homework, be ready. Then you want to pick up your phone, call them, plan your pitch, see if you can get in front of them. You always want to get in front of them if you can. Partners are a good thing. As I said, take somebody who knows the story firsthand. If you're a board member and you're on a nonprofit board, take the person who's a program director with you, or the ED with you, who can help with telling the story. Faculty member, a student. When you get out there, you want to tell the story, but you also want to listen, and you want to listen first. I always start by saying, tell me how you got involved with the Emily Krzyzewski Center, and hear their story, because the story you want to tell might shift. You might have 4 stories in your mind, and you're going to go with the one that seems most logical based on their interests. But step 6 is very important. You need to ask for a specific gift. There's a lot of fundraising instruction on this point. If you don't tell people what you need, they really don't know what you're looking for. Sometimes you can tell people what you need by showing them that chart that we did a minute ago. If they see that, there are people who know that they shouldn't be the lowest person on your chart. They know they're kind of in any organization, any church, in any club or something. They know they should play in the middle of the game. And if you show them the chart, then they know what the middle of the game is. But it's best if you can get your nerve up and say, we're really hoping you're going to be one of our top 3 donors. We need donors of $500,000 and $1 million, and we're hoping that you'll be one of the 3 people who will make a gift at that level. You've given them a little choice. You've given them 500 or $1 million, but you've also gotten a number on the table. And they may say, whoa, Susan, you must think I am made of money. If I win the lottery, how many times have we heard, if I win the lottery? Well, maybe I've not picked the right number, but we still need you at the leadership number. Now, you know what? We could do this over more than 1 year. Would it help to do 500,000 over 3 or 4 or 5 years? Oh, well, I thought you needed it all at once. You see, sometimes it's not a no. It's just give me a little more information. So ask for a specific gift, and then work with them to see if you can help them figure out how to make that kind of a gift. When somebody asked me to be a Paul Harris Fellow, I wanted to. I couldn't afford it. I said, let me think about this. Let me see if maybe I can, get my father to help me. And they said, that's a great idea. We'd love for that. And then they said, you know what? We've got some matching points too. And I said, really? So in the end, we got 500 matching points. I gave $100 and my dad gave $400, and I was a Paul Harris Fellow. It was a good investment. I kept giving. I tried to give more when I could. I stopped asking my dad to top me up. And I've got a little Paul Harris plus 6 button now. So you can get to the point where you can afford it, but if you get in the habit of doing it when you can't afford it by somebody saying, how about some matching points? That works real well. Step 7 is very important. You have to follow up. Try to stay, if you're the solicitor, try to stay in control of when the follow-up happens. If they say, I need to talk to my accountant, say, I understand that. Of course you do. If I called you back in about 2 weeks, would that be long enough? You've given them a little time frame. And if they say yes, they've given you permission to call them back. So that way you're doing what they told you to. You're following up. If they say, I got to talk to my husband about this, I can't do this by myself. You could say, would it help for me to give you some materials to share with him? Would it help for me to come talk to both of you? We could have coffee together. You know, you can come up with some other ideas or ways that you can be helpful, but always try to leave with find a time frame that makes sense and that you understand what it is and that you can drive it as much as possible. Next slide. So, you know, at some point you end up short of things and you think, if I could just sell these last muffins for $100 each, we're in business. They never go quite the way you think. The person that you thought was going to give the big gift doesn't. They move away. They leave your club. The company you were counting on merges and everything gets put on hold for 2 years. It never quite works out. So there's always got to be a plan B. But the thing is about a bake sale, nobody's really buying the cookies for the cookies if they're trying to help you get to some mission-driven goal. So if you stay focused on the mission, you might sell those muffins for $100. And so never stop trying and just be creative about how you can go follow through. I mentioned that we're working with the synagogue right now. It's been a wonderful campaign, really beautifully done. And the cost ended up being $500,000 more than they thought it was. We made the original goal. We had to increase the goal. So you had to go back around. You had to go back to people a second time. You had to go back and remind them that the mission was why they gave the gift. They still want to achieve the mission. Therefore, that muffin is now $100, not $50, even though you already gave me the $50 and you ate half the muffin. There's a way to do it, and you just have to get your nerve up and think through a way that will make sense. So in the end, I would say that the way you thank people is the most important thing that's going to happen in how you fundraise. So after they buy that muffin for $100, thank them, get them engaged, get them involved, give them a volunteer role to play, take them over for the graduation of the students at the Nativity School or the Gimli K Center. Once they see it happening, they're going to have a sense that that they've invested in something that really does matter to them. And that's, that's less, you don't have to keep that up there, it's fine. So, so that's my main scripted speech, and I'd be happy to take any questions or talk about anything people have questions about.
Thanks, Susan. Sorry about that. I was like, what did I do? What did I do? The screen just went black. So
I should have put a little nice Moss and Ross logo up there. Let me give you 1 minute of Moss and Ross. We're very triangle based. We have, my partner and I are the only employees. We've got 19 consultants who work from 10 to 40 hours a week for us on jobs, and we all work from our homes, and we really focus on the mission-driven needs of the Triangle area. We do campaigns, we do executive search, we do strategic planning, etc.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I know a lot of us have some thoughts about how beneficial this information is right now. So does anybody have questions, comments?
I have a quick one. This is Rich. Susan, based on your experience with Rotary in this area, how would you characterize the fundraising for most of the clubs? Is there one particular thing that people are, and I don't mean a specific event or something, but is it event driven, or is it going out and beating on doors for anything we can get? Is it selling cookies on the corner? I mean, can you characterize how we're doing it? Because we're sort of out here, a small group, obviously, and we don't have an awful lot of background. At least I don't. I know Eve and Jeanne and Rhonda and others have gone out and seen much more than I have of Rotary, but for my benefit, at least, maybe if you could characterize how done mostly.
So most events raise most of their money by sponsorships, and that is usually corporate, and it's not necessarily big corporate, though. It might be, you want to go first to the companies who are represented in your membership. Anybody who works for any company at all. Moss and Ross or a bank or anybody. So that's the first easy one. And then ticket sales to something fun that people are interested in doing can raise money, but they take a lot of work. And so you want to be sure that your people are enjoying it as well. You don't want to burn them out on something that only raises $1,000 in the end. So it's something that people are going to enjoy, something that you can expand to someone besides yourself on. I know that the other small club in the area is the Sunrise Club. And, could a partnership between the two of your clubs be a worthwhile thing where you had suddenly 25 people who knew another 25 people and you get 50 to come instead of a smaller number? There's always this sense that some big gala is going to raise a lot of money. They usually don't. They're a lot of work. So I would say think creatively about what your membership likes to do. You can raise as much money in a bingo night as you can in a gala, and you can have a very good time playing bingo. So think about ways that people will use their entertainment money. Somebody was joking with me the other day about one of my colleagues at Moss and Ross is very involved with the League of Upper Extremity Wrestling Women, LUEWWD of Durham, League of Upper Extremity Wrestling Women of Durham. And they do fundraisers where they do arm wrestling. People pay money to watch them. And it's a group of friends, women who are just buddies, and they pick causes and they get all involved. It's been very successful. So I don't know who's going to do the first fundraiser at the new axe throwing beer parlor is opening up in Durham. Somebody is. Why not y'all? Pick something fun and then invite the other clubs to come join you, and they'll, where you can pick up immediately another 100 prospects because it'll sound like fun. Do something distinct and different. So that would be my event thing. Most of the clubs meet their annual fund obligation by putting it in the dues bill, and you have to opt out if you don't want to pay it. So $25 a quarter or something and then some people do opt out, but a lot of people will just go ahead and do it. And then you're not following up all year long trying to get that last person in the club to give you $25. So that's the easy answer to that one. But and what you said earlier, not only about the join each other and do it for the club and do it because we're all in this together is good. That works. Also, the mission of what the money is going to is always the thing I would lead with. And that's why polio's worked well for brothers.
Well, you got me at female arm wrestling. I think that we could probably earn a lot of money that way, guys.
There you go.
I was actually thinking that'd be great. That sounds like a great program.
I won't do it because I'd be embarrassed. But.
We have a question from Jan. As an e-club and a club with membership across time zones, counties, sometimes states, and even countries, what are successful fundraisers that with similar organizations?
Yeah, and I know very little about that, so I'm going to be less effective at answering that. I do think using your books that were your writer the other day and your author and having books or something that's sellable across lines was a good idea. In this day, money moves very easily, so it's not that you have to be in front of them to get the money to move. Our club had a fascinating presentation on blockchain and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency this week. So I'm now more knowledgeable than I was before about how easily money and differently money moves these days. So some kind of, we watch what happens with a GoFundMe. Maybe a GoFundMe for your causes works, and send it out to your friends as well. And my club is doing this. We're all over the world. We're trying to match a fund for something for a child in Ghana, and GoFundMe and see what happens. I bet you could raise some money that way.
I've been thinking about that, and I think it's actually something that we could do, even if it's not a huge fundraiser. At least it would get the word out and be really beneficial. So, Rhonda, you had a question?
Yeah, hey, Susan. So just to piggyback off the last thing you just said, we had a student, actually 7th grader, raise funds for another organization I'm in, and he did it through Facebook. And he went over his goal in just a couple of days, and I was like, okay, we need to do this. So Facebook now, if you are I forgot the charity. You know it, Susan. The charity, it's a navigator. This is called
Charity Navigator. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Charity Navigator. Okay, so if you register with them, your charity, then Facebook will pay, so the person can just select their charity, and you could do it independently or you could do it as a group. But you could say, I want to raise money for this, and all your friends see it and they give it, and it goes directly to the group. It doesn't go anywhere else. So that's the really good thing about it, is that they're making it, as you say, easier and easier to do.
And Charity Navigator is the one that Rotary Foundation's got the 5-star, Charity of the Year kind of stuff. So that's a very good stamp of approval on our Rotary Foundation. But I think your storyline, if you as a club wanted to go on a global grant that has to do with, let's choose human trafficking or something, because that is a global issue that affects people wherever they live. It's not a Durham issue. Your people all over could be interested. Rotary's got programming on that. You get involved with that. You try to go for a global grant. You try to be part of something that's going on in that arena. If you guys put that on your own Facebook pages plus the club page, people would join you on that. They want to help. They don't know quite how to. And if they feel like you're giving them an opportunity through a trusted source to make a difference in a problem that is a huge problem, I think you would find, how many of us have done $10 or $20 to some disease we don't even care about because a friend of ours was raising money for it, You don't know how many people would say yes to helping you accomplish something worthy like that. So
Thank you. But my question, or actually curiosity, your first chart said individuals give the most. I was shocked because you do think of the big money, go to the company, go to the, whoever can write the fattest check. The individuals, that's little by little by little by little. Is that when you actually turn it around to Rotary, does that mean Rotary individual clubs or actually asking individual Rotary members?
It's individual Rotary members, and I'm sure that's true for Rotary. I don't know the numbers, but I'll guarantee you it's way, way, way more individuals than it is companies and foundations giving. Foundations, support certain kinds of things extremely well. But when you think about the world of philanthropy, you don't have any foundation money really going into faith communities, for example, or other things that are out there. You've got foundation support for universities, but it's still 10% or less, 5-10%. It's not the big money. Individuals have the money and give the money in the United States of America. And so it's a matter of asking the right people.
So looking at not the club, but looking at even an individual.
Yeah, a club is a group of individuals. So that if you trace the money back, even if, I don't know how Rotary would count that, but I would say that the club raises money and puts it towards something. Those are really, they started with individuals making a decision to part with their own money out of their checkbook.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions? I appreciate your comments, Susan, because I know you and I have talked about fundraising, and we've done a few things, but it is tricky because we're still trying to raise funds for our club to have some kind of cushion to be able to put forward for district grants. But I think we would actually, Rhonda, have more success if we did target a specific project, with the global grant, and actually drove a promotion or a fundraising machine that way, because I think it would be a really fun thing for all of us to do, because we all believe in it so much. Not that we don't believe in our own club, but it's just a more like, it's a big signature piece that we could actually kind of get people excited about. So
it would be great to have a little cushion. I wish you did, but I think that I don't think that's quite an exciting enough or a goal for people to get very
we need a benefactor for our club. so the young man
target your prospects.
Yeah, Rhonda was talking about, we just need somebody who's really excited about supporting the e-club.
Well, some e-commerce person might get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
If you had a Rotary-minded person who was involved in e-commerce, you could make a case for why this is really appropriate that they give you a little cushion. Who knows?
I agree.
Gotta think of the right person.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. I am going to share my screen again. And sorry, everybody. Technology. Well, does anyone have the 4-way test off the top of their head right now? So, doesn't want to come up here. Hang on. You give me.
You know, I keep it here on the desk. Just
No, I have it right here too. So let's. Rich, I was going to ask you to lead it. So do you feel?
No, I don't. I mean, I usually have it here, but here it is. Got it. Okay. I'm sorry. Yes, that'd be.
I'm happy too.
Are we ready?
All right.
Okay, the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I do have a certificate hiding somewhere behind this. Okay. Can everyone see that yet? No.
No.
New share. Sorry, you guys. All right. It's coming. I swear. There it is.
Yeah.
And the 4-way test is there too.
Yes, that's right. I know it's attached to it. So, Susan, this is our virtual certificate.
Thank you.
And we thank you very much for being here this evening.
You're welcome.
Sorry for my technical issues.
Hope people learn something.
Oh, you know, I'm going to go back and watch this again, actually. It's really, really helpful. And I have the slides. So, thank you.
Very good.
Thanks so much.
Okay, guys. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thanks for rushing through your tennis game to get to us. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night,
everybody.
Good night.